Hello friends, and we continue to study infinitives and gerunds. And now here we're gonna study in order to and for to express purpose. To express or to say something why we do something. Yani bir amaç belirtmek için şimdi in order to ve for'u nasıl kullanıyoruz? Look at this sentence. Why did you go to the post office? Is a question. And answer could be I went to the post office because I wanted to mail a letter. This part shows the purpose. That means why. İşte niye sorusuna cevap burası. Or I can express this sentence in different ways. Like I went to the post office in order to mail a letter. This shows or expresses the purpose. Yani mektubu postaya vermek için. Dikkat edin. Or I went to the post office to mail a letter. In order to mail and to mail, these two have the same meanings. Or I can say I went to the post office for some stamps. But be careful, after for, I use just the nouns. But to, verb. In order to, verb. This is verb. It's not noun. Çünkü bu burada fiil anlamında. Yani isim anlamında değil. Buna dikkat ediyoruz. Or, I went to the post office to buy some stamps. For some stamps, to buy some stamps. Or, in order to buy some stamps. To express the purpose. Amacı açıklamak için. But if you say like this, I went to the post office for to. This is a contradictory usage. Bu çelişkili bir kullanım. As if I wanna use infinitive, I don't have to use for here to buy some stamps. And if I don't wanna use to buy in here, then I use for some stamps. Or I went to the post office for buying. This is not correct because after for, I need to use just the nouns, not the gerund. So pay attention to this. Şimdi bunlara dikkat ediyoruz. In order to ve for nasıl kullanıyoruz? Yani for'dan sonra isim, in order'dan sonra verb geliyor. Buna dikkat etmemiz lazım. Now here we have an exercise. Add in order to the sentences whenever possible or where necessary. Gerekli yerlere in order. 1. I went to the bank to cash a check. Çeki bozdurmak için. Or I can say I went to the bank in order to cash a check. This and this have the same meaning. Number 2. I would like to see that movie. Here, no change. Because we can say I would like to see the movie. We cannot say I would like in order. That's incorrect. Now read the rest of the exercise and the sentences also and add in order where necessary. But pause the video, please. Number 3. Sam went to the hospital. There's a purpose in here. Hastaneye gidiyorsa bir amaç var. In order or to visit a friend. Arkadaşını ziyaret edebilmek için ya da etmek için. I need to go to the bank today, but there is no purpose. Bankaya gitmek istiyorum. Yani ne için? Belli değil. So no change. I need to go to the bank today in order or to deposit my paycheck. This is the purpose. On my way home from school, I stopped at the drugstore. Drugstore is pharmacy. Eczane demek. in order or to buy some shampoo. This is the purpose. Carmen looked in her dictionary in order to find or just to find the correct spelling of a word. This is the purpose. So here I use in order. Masako went to the cafeteria in order to eat lunch. This is the purpose. Jack and Linda have decided to get married. There is no purpose. Just this is their decision. Onların kararı. Pedro watches TV in order to improve his English. This is the purpose. İngilizcesini geliştirmek için. I didn't forget to pay my rent. Okay, but there is no purpose, so no change. Kim wrote to the university in order to ask for a catalog. This is the purpose. Sally touched my shoulder in order to get my attention. Omzuma ne için dokunuyor? Dikkatimi çekmek için. Donna expects to graduate next spring. There is no purpose, so no change. Jerry needs to go to the bookstore in order to buy a spiral notebook. This is the purpose. So in order to express the purpose, I use infinitive or sometimes in order plus infinitive. Same meaning. Now in this exercise you see column A and column B. Sütun yani. And also sentences in both columns. And read the sentences and then make sentences or connect the ideas to make a nice or a sentence to express the purpose. And number one is done. Number one matches E. Bununla eşleşiyor. I called the hotel desk in order to ask for an extra pillow. Now read them very carefully and then make sentences using in order to. But pause the video, please. Just put the numbers just by the letters, but I'll just make sentences and I'll tell them. I'll say orally, but you can by the way, pause the video and write them down. 2. I turned on the radio in order to listen to a ball game. 3. I looked on the internet in order to find the population of Malaysia. 4. People wear boots in order to keep their feet warm and dry. Warm and dry. 5. Andy went to Egypt in order to see the ancient pyramids. 6. Miss Lane stood on tiptoes in order to reach the top shelf. Tiptoe yani parmaklarının ucunda. 7. The dentist moved the light closer to my face in order to look into my mouth. Ağzıma iyi bakmak için. 8. I clapped my hands and yelled in order to chase a stray dog away. Stray dog yani yabani, sahibi olmayan köpek demek. 9. Maria took a walk in the park in order to get some fresh air and exercise. 10. I offered my cousin some money in order to help her pay the rent. Okay. Here we need to complete the sentences using to or for. Number 1 and number 2 are done. I went to Chicago for a visit. Remember, this is noun. So remember, we use noun after for, or for precedes a noun. I went to Chicago to visit. This is infinitive. To I use with a verb to make it infinitive. My aunt and uncle, and to express the purpose also. Now, read the rest of the sentences and then complete them using to or for. But pause the video first, please. Number 3, I take long walks to relax. Relax is the verb, rahatlamak için. I take long walks for relaxation. This is noun. I'm going to school for a good education. Education is noun, so I use for. I'm going to school to get a good education. This is the verb, so infinitive. I'm not going to school just to have fun. This is verb, so I use to. I'm not going to school just for fun. Fun here is noun and iş olsun diye ya da zevk olsun diye anlamında. I turned on the radio to listen to the news. Listen, verb, remember, to listen. This is the purpose. I listened to the radio for news. This is noun about the earthquake in Peru. I sent a card to Carol to wish her a happy birthday. Verb plus to. 2 police officers came to my apartment to ask me about my cousin. Verb, so to. Mr. Wong works in his garden for the pure pleasure of it. Pleasure, noun. Tamamen zevk olsun diye. I looked in the encyclopedia for information about Ecuador. Information is the noun. My 3 brothers, 2 sisters, and parents all came to town to attend or join my graduation. Yani eğitim, mezuniyet törenine katılmak için. This exercise is for class activity, but we don't have such atmospheres. But again, let's go and try to do the exercise. You can write them down on a piece of paper. And there is an example. And yesterday you turn on the TV. Why? Yesterday I turned on the TV to listen to the news, or for the latest news about earthquake. And here are the questions. And then let's go and try to answer these questions using to and for together. Like this, turn on the TV to listen to the news, or for the latest news. But pause the video first and then write them down on a piece of paper. And I'll also answer the questions, and then you can check your answers. Now, I haven't written the whole sentences, but just I've written the purpose part of the sentence. Yani amaç kısmını yazdım. But I'll speak them out. Say. Number 1, I went to the supermarket to buy some bread, or I went to the supermarket for some bread. I need to go to the bookstore to buy a ruler, or for a ruler. I went to the post office to buy some stamps or for some stamps. I went to the health clinic to get a prescription or for a prescription. I reached into my pocket to get some change or for some change. Change, bozuk para. I came to this school to get good education or, wait a second, for good education. Sorry for my spelling. I borrowed some money from Kadir, let's say, to pay my bill or for my bill payment. Faturamı ödemek için, fatura ödemesi için. I stopped at the service station to buy a tire or for a tire. I play soccer to have fun or for fun. I had to go out last night to have a nice dinner or for a nice dinner. You see this part after for all nouns, and here we use the verbs. Now using to and enough with infinitives. And if you want to use to, this is the formula or the rule. To plus adjective plus for someone plus infinitive. Now look at this sentence. A car is too heavy. Heavy is the adjective and to lift. But one more thing in here to remember. Heavy gives the negative meaning to this sentence. Yani bu ne demek? Bir araba kaldırılamayacak kadar ağırdır. This sentence structurally looks positive, but it has negative meaning. Yani görüntüde olumlu gibi gelse de anlam olarak negatif anlam verir. That box is too heavy for me to lift. Benim için kaldırılamayacak kadar şu kutu ağırdır. Yani onu ben kaldıramam anlamında. That box is too heavy for Ali to lift. Yani Ali için kaldırılamayacak kadar ağırdır. So, if I want to use adjective with to, adjective precedes to, or I use adjective after to. But if I want to use enough plus noun, enough plus noun plus infinitive. I don't have enough money to buy that car. Yani şu arabayı almak için yeterli param yok. But be careful. Enough, noun. Did you have enough time? Again, noun, enough. To finish the test. But if I want to use adjective with enough, adjectives actually precedes enough. Yani adjective'leri kullanacaksam to'nun tam tersi olarak enough'tan önce geliyor. Ama isim kullanacaksam enough, noun. Adjective, enough. Bunu karıştırmamaya çalıştım. Buna dikkat edin. Jimmy isn't old enough. Adjective, enough. Enough, noun. To go to school. Yani okula gitmek için yeterince yaşlı değil anlamında. Are you hungry enough to eat 3 sandwiches? 3 sandviç yiyecek kadar aç mısın? Yani enough'ın kullanımı böyle. İlk etapta biraz karışık gelebilir. Evet, kural şu. The rule. Enough plus noun, infinitive, or adjective plus noun, infinitive. Yani şu kuralı iyi böyle oturtmaya bakın. Yani içselleştirmeye bakın. Çünkü genelde hep testlerde falan hatalar geldiği zaman enough noun miydi yoksa enough adjective miydi karıştırabiliyoruz. O yüzden enough noun, adjective enough plus infinitive. Now we have an exercise to and enough plus infinitive. And we see the sentences and it says combine the sentences using to or enough. But first, the to part is part 1 and part 2. Number 1, we can't go swimming today. It's very cold. Now, if I want to combine these two sentences using to, and I say it is too cold for us. We, us, to go swimming today. But for us is optional, whether we can use it or not. İsterse kullanırız, isterse kullanmayız. Now look at these sentences from 2 till 6 first, and then this part. But in part 2, enough. I can't reach the top shelf. I'm not that tall. That means I'm not tall enough. Tall is adjective, remember. Adjective plus enough plus infinitive. I'm not tall enough to reach the top shelf. Now read the sentences and then make one sentence instead of two sentences using to and enough. But pause the video first, please. Number 2. I was too sleepy to finish my homework last night. This jacket is too small for me to wear or too small to wear. Mike was too busy to go to his aunt's housewarming party. Housewarming party is the party that when you move into a house or when you buy a new house, you give a party for that purpose. That is called housewarming party. I live too far from school to walk there. Yürüyemeyecek kadar uzak. Some movies are too violent for children to watch. I'm not tall enough to reach the top shelf. Tall enough. I'm not strong enough to lift a horse. Adjective enough. It is not warm enough today for us to go outside in shorts and sandals. We, for us. I wasn't sick enough to stay home and miss work, but I didn't feel good all day. Adjective enough again. Then infinitive. Now we have a reading passage. The title is Blind Imitation is Bad. Blind imitation, hani körü körüne taklit deriz ya. Bu. But if you want, you can pause the video and then try to find out the words. And if you don't know the meanings of the words, and look them up in a dictionary. Again, I try to explain. One day, while a saint was going somewhere with his disciples, saint, a religious teacher, let's say, and disciples, the students, yani din adamı, işte onun öğrencileri ya da ne deriz işte buna? Müritleri. He saw a pond full of fishes. Saint. Pond, you know that, a small hole full of water. Ufak su göleti. On the way. He stopped there and started filling his mouth with fish. The disciples followed their guru, their teacher. The saint said nothing to them. Müritler de aynısını yapıyor. The saint said nothing. Hiçbir şey söylemiyor. And after some time, moved ahead. That means they kept moving. Then they reached another pond, or stopped by, or came to another pond, where there were no fishes. But in that pond, there were a lot of fishes, but in this pond, there were no fishes. The saint stood at its shore and started taking out the fishes he had swallowed. The fishes which he had swallowed, or that he had swallowed. Yutma anlamında, yuttuğu balıkları. When the disciples, students, saw this, they were amazed. Şaşırdılar. And also tried to vomit out the fishes. Vomit out, take out. Take out or vomit, yani kusma. But after many attempts or tries, deneme, they could only take out some dead fishes. But the saint take out the fishes, live fishes, not dead. At this, the saint said, "Fools, ahmaklar, when you didn't know how to keep the fishes alive in the stomach, then why did you imitate me?" Yani balıkları karnınızda nasıl canlı tutacağınızı bilmiyorsanız, yani o zaman niye taklit ettiniz? It is truly said that never imitate anyone. Yani hiç kimseyi öyle kör körüne taklit etme. Now answer the following questions. And read the questions, the sentences, and then circle the true one. Yani doğru olanı burada şimdi bulacağız. But pause the video first. 1. The saint stopped by a pond and got some fish into his mouth. This is true. His disciples followed him except one. Biri hariç hepsi onu takip etti. This is false. All his disciples did the same thing. The saint put the fish he swallowed into another pond. That is true. His disciples did the same thing. They couldn't, because all the fish were dead. His disciples couldn't keep the fish alive in their stomach. That is true. Now, everyday English. Rona and Davis are talking. Have you heard about Henry? You mean Henry Johnson? No, Hurricane Henry. Of course I have. Hurricane, fırtına anlamında. It slammed into north coast of Jamaica yesterday evening. Vurdu. Burada vurdu. Fırtına. Into the north coast of Jamaica yesterday evening. Yes, I've heard that it caused a huge amount of damage. A lot of amount of damage. Both to buildings and crops. Crops, ürünler. Not to mention loss of life, the death toll, the death number means currently stand 17. Not to mention means yani Not to mention means as well as or besides, yani bunun yanında. That means you emphasize that something is adding to the list. Yani listeye daha da bir şeyler ekliyorsunuz anlamında. Yani hayat kaybının yanında, yani bunu söylemenin gerek yok. The death toll currently stands 17. Şu an zaten 17 ölü var. Bunu zaten söylemeye de gerek yok derken not to mention loss of life. Yani hayat kaybını eklemede gerek yok. Evet, şimdi arkadaşlar ders burada bitiyor. I finished the course in here, but not the subject. I think most probably in the next course I'll try to finish infinitives and gerunds. And see you next time.